Hey guys, how are you? I hope that Friday Eve is treating you well. It has been quite the week. Marie Case just fell. We're going to let that ride. And I'm actually not at the home office. I'm at the co working space office because there's just too much going on in my house today with virtual school and just a lot going on. And so, anyway, but wanted to pop in and talk about the power of the plan. So this is the time of the year that I spend a majority of my time coaching individuals on what they want their year to look like, and or what do they want to launch this year, or if they have an existing business, how do they want to refresh that, or if they're still working in corporate, what do they want their career to look like? And so I do the power hours this time of the year for $99, still going on through the end of the month. And so I like literally back to back to back to back to back from the time I wake up to sometimes the time I go to bed. I am helping be a thought partner, strategizing, and getting people to hold themselves accountable to creating a plan. And so, Joanna, didn't we just have one? No, you definitely. Definitely agreed going forward with the launch strategy. It would be helpful for you. So, and so, I wanted to talk about the power of the plan because so many people want to skip that process. And, I get calls right away from people. They want to get right into aesthetics. Like, I want a website, I want this, I want that, I want logo, this, and that. And it's just like, okay, what you going to do with it? And it's like crickets. And we can't skip the power of the planning and of the strategic planning process. And I don't just emphasize this because I set strategy for a living, but I emphasize this because it ends up being a waste of money when you just jump in to aesthetics, or you just jump in to an idea without a plan, a substantive plan, a sustainable plan. Then you end up paying more money in the long run to relaunch, refresh. That's another huge revenue stream for us from people who just didn't plan properly the first time. And so then they have to restart and reset. And that's perfectly fine. I mean, we'll take your money. I appreciate it. But what about if you plan to do it right the first time and then actually work the plan? There's an old quote that says, failing to plan is planning to fail. And I couldn't agree more. Now, I don't want you to some people get so rigid in their planning process that they never actually execute. They spend their whole life planning. That's why planner sales go through the roof this time of the year. People want pretty planners. They want stickers. They want this. They want that. So, my briefcase fell, but I'll show you guys my planner, which is hopefully, it's right here behind me. Okay. So I use this productivity planner, which is not pretty. It's not cute. Let me go to a blank page. And I use it because it has the weekly planning and then has the daily planning. And I got it off Amazon because I know that's the next question people are going to ask. And what it does is it's made for procrastinators, and it's made for people like me who tend to work better under pressure, or at least that's what we've caused ourselves to believe. And so you have to estimate, and each circle is about 25 minutes. So you have to estimate how many of these 25-minute circles is it going to take to do this particular task. And you're not allowed to veer off the task until you do it. And so set your timer. And I gifted this to a friend for Christmas, and she posted a status the other day of saying, like, the lesson she's learned just day 2 into using is. And I told her, I was like, this is the Thug Life Planner. This is about really staying focused on the thing that you're working on in that particular moment. And it's about holding you accountable. I mean, when you do your weekly planning, and it has you make commitments to yourself up front. So, it has you start off, I buy a new one each year. It has full stories in here. It has got inspirational quotes. I'm not getting paid for this. I shouldn't be even, this is just because I love y'all, but they should be paying me sponsorship dollars for this. But anyway, what it does, someone just walked in, so I'm going to get a little quieter. is it causes you to have to be serious. Like, why is time tracking important? How to track what's the most important time of your day and what's the most important task, and then it has that accountability because it says if the week is not um, productive, what will I do? Like what will my consequences be? As adults, we don't give ourselves enough consequences. We're really good at giving them as kids, but we don't hold ourselves accountable to get the things done that we're saying we're going to get done in the time frame in which we said we were going to get them done, because we grown and we can always come up with a good reason for why we didn't do what it is that we said we were going to do. And so I made a list of reasons that planning is so important. And look, let a bird fly. I'm off task. See, we can't do that. So one of the first things you have to do is you have to know, like, depending on when I look at my day, I can decide, is this a day that I can work from home? Or is this a day that I need to go over to my co-working space because I need to concentrate in a way that I'm not going to be able to do when the kids are on break between classes, or if they running in and out of the kitchen, or if they all of a sudden on TikTok or watching TV. And so that's one of the first things is you have to know where your most productive environment is. I know where my most productive environment is during the day and even as I work into evenings. And so that's the first thing. So if you know that you're easily distracted, like if a bird fly by, then be somewhere where you can't watch the birds fly by. I know I'm most productive in a brightly lit area that has lots of windows and lots of lighting. If you put me in a dark space, then I'm least productive. I know in the evenings, I have a spot. It's where I wrote my first two books. It's where I'm finishing the third book. And that is my place of peace and solace. And the staff knows me, and I can put my AirPods in and have my laptop open and easily get through that. One of the things, that it does most importantly, the strategic planning and the power of planning, is it helps you set direction and priority. And so when you write things down, when you write out the plan, instead of just thinking that we have the plan in our heads. And so many of us, we give our brain is brilliant and our brain is powerful, but it's doing a lot for us during the day. And so to think that it can remember each and every little thought that we have, and to think that it can keep us on task, and that it can be, there's a reason why we have the ability to write things down, and there's a reason why we have the ability to type up notes. And so having a plan helps you to set direction and create priorities. And so when I am doing these power hours, like I always start by saying, I can't change your life in an hour, but I always start by asking these simple questions. When you book this time and you decided to invest in yourself, what are you hoping to get out of this? So even in that, I'm starting the power hour with a plan, and it helps me to keep the person on track of, this is what you said you wanted to do with this hour. So let's make sure we get that done. So it gets everyone on the same page. Boom, first segue for point two. So by having a plan, even something that's, little, that's a plan, helps to make sure that everyone is on the same page. Okay, this is what we agreed to do. This is what we said we're going to do. This is how we're going to use the hour. Let's use the hour to get it done. Now, if you need to buy more time after that, we'll talk about that then. But right now, you said this was the priority, so let's stay back to that. It helps simplify decision making. To the point, someone said something about being all over the place. So a lot of us, I'm a multitasker. I'm a jack of all trades. I can do all of these different things. I can juggle. And yeah, I'm excellent at multitasking. But the truth is that if I'm not focused on a specific task, then I'm not giving all of that to that task, because my mind's here, there, everywhere. Back to yesterday when I mentioned about my meditation practice and just mindfulness and just being in the place that your feet are planted. My executive coach and mentor tuned in. Yep. Begin with the end in mind, always, in all things. Agreed. It drives alignment. It helps you not to major in the minors. We get stuck in analysis paralysis. And so we so busy, with the plan and analyzing the plan and flipping the plan, that we not executing the plan. And we really haven't wrote a viable strategic plan. We just wrote down a list of things to do, this is not a call to just writing lists, but this is about, and that's why, I've got the vision mapping class coming up. And what the vision mapping class does is it's specifically focuses you in on what am I going to do this year? What can I get done this year? If it cannot be done this year, it is not allowed to go on that map. And so you have to smart goals, specific, measurable, attainable, timestamp. So it's a time sensitive. Oh, and I miss realistic. So yeah. So make sure they're smart goals. It helps you prepare for uncertainty. You know, the thing is like the best laid plans can go to heck in a handbag. And so, but at least you know you had one, and at least you know you tried. But if you do the plan strategically, then and my plans always include a SWOT analysis. And for those of you like going back to your college days, you know, that's your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, your threats. And so I do SWOT analysis on everything that I go into, because I want to know what are the strengths in this possibility or this opportunity, what are the weaknesses, what are the opportunities, and what are the threats? And by being honest with myself about the threats that could come up as I'm moving forward in doing this, then I know up front I have prepared for uncertainty. I have prepared for if the bottom drops out. My mother would always tell me, like, think in worst case scenarios. And what she meant by that is think the thing all the way through to what is the worst thing that can happen and decide if you can live with that or not. And if you can live with it, go for it. You know, and so I'm always thinking in everything, like, what is the worst thing that can happen if I take this leap? What is the worst thing that can happen if I take on, you know, this client? Like, by thinking through that and planning through that and mapping that out, then I can decide whether that's a viable opportunity for me or not. And a lot of people don't like to think in that way because we live in this world of roses and lollipops and gumdrops and everything's going to be amazing. And if you just believe, and if you fake it till you make it, and all these other things that to make us feel good. But the truth is that life comes with life comes with complications, and we can't control others' actions, and we can plan and plan and plan and plan and plan, and still something happens unexpectedly. Life happens, shift happens. And so are you prepared for when shift happens? Are you prepared for that? And have you thought through that? And have you thought through what you will do should that happen? I will especially say for entrepreneurs, you know, when you think about what's in your savings account, when you think about, and this is, my girlfriend and I were having this conversation, you know, as someone who worked in sales for so long and really high end sales, you know, you kind of get conditioned to the mindset around money of, I don't really worry about money because I'll always make more. And I know a lot of entrepreneurs that are highly successful feel like this, because it's like you can wake up on Monday with $20 at 8 a.m. and by noon have $20,000 and not even have expected to get that call. And when you get into that hamster wheel of that happening, but the truth is like, you still need to have a plan for if a pandemic hit, or if they would have got all the electoral votes yesterday when they acted a fool and stormed the Capitol, or like anything can happen. Anything can happen. Like, how will you sustain? How will you live? How will you feed your family? You know, I'm always thinking about if social media went away today, if for some reason I got locked out of my, God forbid, but if something, you know, one of my pages, I'm not even gonna say which platform, I don't want to put any bad thing out there. Yes, good and honest risk analysis is key. And so, like, well, how would I continue to build this business? Do I have a strong enough email list? Do I have a strong enough network? Do I have a strong enough alliances that if I didn't have the ability to stream on certain social media platforms, that my business can still sustain? For so many, their business is specifically built on just Instagram or just Facebook or just LinkedIn. And it's like, you ain't got no control over that. What if last year when Mark Zuckerberg was going through all those congressional hearings, or year before last, they would have said, you know what, Mark, we've decided, or look what happened to Trump yesterday. You think you above it? Twitter said you out. And so, like, if Twitter will tell the president he out, well, finally, they should have been did that for violating their policy and integrity standards. What makes you think? And look, most of us, look, haven't even read through all the fine print, that you are above that. It also, one of the most important things that it does is it helps you communicate your message. So many people are walking around with their vision, their strategy, their plan in their head, and or even if you're still in corporate, you're walking around with your career aspirations, your career trajectory, what you want to do next, your personal development, all of those things in your head. And it's like, if you had a plan for how to articulate that to your leader, or as a business owner, if you create a communication strategy on how you're going to unroll that to, like, you should have your 2021 WON strategic plan mapped out. And, I'm pushing people like at least 6 months, if not 12. A majority of you watching this, I'm sure, have worked in some corporate settings where life is moving too fast and the world is changing too fast and technology is moving so fast that I'm not really an advocate of the 5-year plan anymore. But man, do you at least have an 18-month plan? Have you at least set goals and created a plan and strategy? I posted how you start is normally how you finish. And, one of the things for me always every year is to at least double up. And I mean on my profits and on my income. And so I have to have a plan. I can't just pray and hope. And like, faith without works is dead, for all y'all church folks watching. So that means null and void. So that being said, I have to figure out the plan of how I'm going to get there. Because, like, one of my favorite books is titled "What Got You Here Won't Get You There." And the worst thing that any of us can do is to rest on our last success. That's another thing that I was trained well in as a salesperson. Like, I could close a $30 million sale on Tuesday. On Wednesday morning, my VP gonna look at me and say, well, what's next? I could have made my whole year. Like, that was it. That's what I needed to do for the year to be successful. Okay, but what's next? Because I still paying you for the rest of the year. So yes, you're going to get this great bonus and you might get a fabulous trip. And, yes, you hit your objectives and your goals for the year, but that don't mean you get to sit back and not work. And so having that mindset and having been conditioned to do that, it's always, okay, what's next? It's always like, how can I beat? My brother was an amazing track star in high school and college, just phenomenal. It used to look like nobody was running against him. Came in first in the nation, second in the pen relays. I mean, it was like watching a superhero run. And, he was always trying to beat his personal record. And he was always trying to, outdo himself. And that's why I said you have to adopt the athlete's mindset. The last point that I want to bring up that planning allows you to do is it allows you to plan for expansion. A few months ago, I asked myself during my quiet time, look back to yesterday, hey self, look, if you don't talk to yourself, if anybody go keep it, and if you're not talking to yourself honestly, now I'm not talking about, I don't be walking down the street like crazy talking to myself, but I'm talking about in my quiet time, having a real conversation with myself about myself. Like, I look me in the mirror first every morning. So what's up? And so it's about expansion and how are we going to expand and beat our personal record and to be honest with self about how we're going to do that. And so I'm always asking myself those kind of questions. But back to what I was saying, see what I'm saying about when you don't write stuff down, you get old. See, I'm trying to freestyle it like I'm Jay-Z and he 51. I was going to say, I asked myself a few months ago, how will I know when I'm at capacity? And if John is still on, my mentor and executive coach, John told me, gosh, I don't know, it's probably been 2 years ago, as he was watching my brand grow exponentially at a faster pace than I would have ever expected, and he was looking at my team and he was looking at the alliances and the partnerships that I had made. And he was saying, like, okay, where's the next lineup? Because you're going to either burn them out or you're going to lose some of them, or the growth is not they're not going to be able to sustain the growth. And he was absolutely right. He's kind of always right about most things. It's one of those obnoxious things that makes him one of the best actual coaches in the world. And I believe right now he's got some spots open. And so that being said, it's super important that you sit back. And the question that I asked is, how will I know when I'm at capacity? And that's really important, because a lot of times we overpromise and underdeliver because we have allowed ourselves. It wasn't an intentional thing. It's not something that we meant to do, but we just allowed ourselves to let too much on our plate. And so you have to be honest with yourself about yourself, and you have to know how to scale your business. And that comes from having a very smart strategic plan. Hey, Ashley. And so I wish I was in Arizona with you right now versus in Wisconsin with this snow. So anyway, you guys, set up some strategic planning, set up some quiet time to do it. If you have an organization, if you have a team, lock yourselves in for a couple of hours and definitely do some strategic planning on how you're going to grow. What priorities are you going to set? What direction are you all headed in? There's nothing like alignment. There's nothing like getting the people that work for you and or with you on board and on the same page. Because if we feel like we have a common goal in mind, Erica, I just posted your article. So proud of you. So let me tell you all about E-Money. I'm going to give her a nickname right quick because of the article. So Erica was in cohort 2 of the PowHER Network Brand Builder Boot Camp, and she loves to travel, and she loved to travel to exotic places and stay in beautiful places on a budget. And she came in a few years ago and was like, I have this idea, but I'm tired of giving it away for free. So that's great. So she came in so she could figure out how to play it. And so she went through Brand Builder Boot Camp and went on to execute her plan and to launch her group and her page. And Facebook took notice of her group, and then Airbnb took notice. And now she makes $28,000 a month in side income as an Airbnb ambassador. And so I am just so amazingly proud of, thanks Brittany, I'm just so amazingly proud of, that is from ideation to execution at its best. That is absolutely, I mean, I am just in awe, speechless, and honored and humbled when I get to see someone do it. And so that is tangible proof that when I'm out here talking, I'm not just jacking. That if you really, really, like, we all have the skills to pay the bills. You can't get paid for doing what you love. But it will take, she invested in herself by coming through my class. She invested in herself, I'm sure, by doing some other training. She took the time to actually invest in herself by getting a logo created, investing in herself by creating the group, moderating the group, engaging her community, building her community. That's an investment of time. She is a very educated, successful woman on her own right. And so it's not something that we never are going to have the time to do these things. It's about making the time to do it. So now look at that. Look at, like, that's significant. $28,000 a month from Airbnb, so she could go and travel even more than she was traveling before. And really, I coach so many that it's like my family and friends are always pulling on me, and I don't know how to tell them that I don't do this for free, and that this has become a business now. And the thing is, first of all, the way you tell them is tell them. Second, you teach people how to treat you. So if you treat yourself like a business and you set yourself up as a business entity, then people will stop coming to you expecting things for free. Third, I mean, the way that Erica has leveraged her brand is so creative. And she still has the group where she shares all kind of free game in the group. I share free game when I do these lives. And it doesn't, just because you share free game, and that should be a part of your plan too, to build the community, to build the following, to build the ambassadorship, to build the engagement that takes people from awareness to engagement that I'm always talking about. Because once you grow the engagement and people know, like, and trust you, and she's such her authentic self, which makes it even more fun, and the group is fun, that then the sky is not the limit, it's simply the view. And so go for it. And I'm so glad you tuned in, Erica, and I was able to share your story with the people watching and whoever watches the replay of this, because it is so, so powerful to see people live their dreams. Don't just dream your life, live your dream. And so on that note, I'm going to go. Peace, love, power. I'm out. Today will be what you make it. Choose to make it great.